Fellow Lukas here at St. Bonaventure Parish. We're going to make apple strudel. So what we need to do first is we need to get our apples. We need 8, and we're going to start peeling them. So we're now going to use a unique way of peeling the apples. I think Tim the Two-Man Tailor will be proud of us. So we have 8 apples, which we will need for a strudel, and I will grate each one of them. You can use 2 different variations. You can either use the solid one, that's going to give large pieces of apple slices, or you can grate it according to this style, which will be a lot thinner. It doesn't matter, but as long as you know that if you use this one, you're going to add more of the breadcrumbs, because it then absorbs more of the moisture. If you're using this setting, then you won't need as much breadcrumbs, as long as you know that. So now that we have finished grating our apples, you can set your apples aside, and we'll be making our dough from scratch. Now, what you will need is 500 grams of unbleached flour. Here I have unbleached all-purpose flour. We'll need some more later, but I'll get to that. But for now, 500 grams is good. And what I do is I make a little mound, make a hole in the middle. There's different ways of obviously making the dough from the flour, but here's a nice little way that will get your kids wanting to do it as well, and it's a lot of fun actually. Okay, then you take your apples, or not your apples, your eggs, and you what you want to do is you want to separate the egg whites from the yolk. And there's obviously different ways you can do this. You can either use your hand, which is a little messy, or you can use the eggshells as a way of separating them. Takes a little while. Okay. Same thing with the second egg. So you put that in. Leave aside the egg whites. Then you take your unsalted butter. You can add salt, a pinch of salt later if you want, but this is unsalted butter. First, I'll put some milk in here, and it's probably about 65 milliliters of milk, so 65 milliliters of milk. You got 2%. And this is the fun stuff. Obviously, you want to break up the butter a little bit, so you use your fingers, your hands. And like I said, your kids are going to love this, much like playing with Play-Doh. So it's a great opportunity to work with your kids on something fun to which they can eat afterwards. This is not the technique in culinary school that you learn. So I have a nice piece of dough here. Now it's still a little bit moist and sticky, so what you want is you want to get some more flour and just sparingly put it around. Well, you probably even just go like this. It's going to take a while for the dough to get to the point where we want it for our purposes. Now you also want some more flour in order to then put on your roller, which you'll need once once it's ready to be rolled out. Okay. So this extra flour, there isn't a specified amount, but as long as you keep on rolling and then it's not moist and not sticky. Supposed to give a number, maybe 100 to 200 grams. So we just put some flour on the roller. It helps in the long run. Okay. Now when you're rolling, you want to go from the center out in any direction. And now it's going to be nice and level throughout. And basically what you're looking for is an oval shape. Not too much oval, but not really a circle too. So here you have a rolled out dough. It's perhaps not the best one of my works, but that's okay. And what you want to do is you want to spread some breadcrumbs all around. What this does is it's going to absorb the moisture of the apples. Now, because I I graded my apples according to the biggest setting, they're bigger slices, so I don't need to put as much breadcrumbs on there. Okay. Then you start putting your apple slices on there. Start from the middle and go out. Once I finish putting it on here, I will sort it out. Obviously you want it nicely distributed. You don't want to lay it across too far because we're going to cut the edges. Okay, after you have it nicely and evenly somewhat distributed, you want to cut off the edges, so maybe about 2 inches away from the edge of the apple slices. I'm going to grab some sugar, some icing sugar, and use a sieve and just sparingly put it on the apples, sweeten it up a little bit. We're going to do this afterwards as well, but first, this. Oh yeah, maybe too much. Afterwards, we're going to get the cinnamon. Now, if these instructions are for your children, ease up. Ease up on the sugar and the cinnamon. That's good. That's perhaps a lot. And then a little bit of the breadcrumbs. Again, not too much, because we put it already a little bit there at the base. And these are big slices, so you don't want to put too much. This you want to do a little bit less sparingly than you did initially. Okay, after you finish this, you start rolling it from one side to the other. I always roll it from the longest side, so from the end of the narrow side, and just continue on. Now what we will do is we will nip and tuck on the edges. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm taking the egg white that we had set aside from the beginning, and just with a brush I am glazing the top here, and it's just going to give a nice glaze on the strudel. And we're also going to after putting it in the oven, we're going to glaze it again about 10 minutes before we take it out. So I'm just putting the egg whites everywhere. Okay. So you want to preheat your oven, obviously, to 5-10 minutes, and then you're going to put it in 360 Fahrenheit. And then once putting it in, you're going to have it there for half an hour. and then 10 minutes before it finishes, you want to open it up and glaze it again. You want to do it quickly, you don't want a lot of heat to escape from the oven. Once that's done, then we'll have an apple strudel, hopefully, and yeah, we'll pull it off for 10 minutes and enjoy it. Thank you for joining us. So it's been here about for half an hour or so. So we're going to take a look, see if it's ready. Oh wow, turned out better than I thought. Well folks, there you have it, an apple strudel, from start to finish.